we go. Well, Anthony Greeno is back after serving a year-long prison sentence. In case you, the viewer, don't know who Greeno is, let me give you a bit of a summary. Anthony Greeno is a YouTube personality, mostly dabbling in the true crime genre as an investigative journalist. Some of his channels include True Crime Investigates, True Crime Unfiltered, Greeno Productions, and just recently True Crime News, which doesn't have any content as of this recording other than an intro. He's used his platforms to cover notable crimes such as the Delphi murders and the Flora Fire murders. He's done a lot of collaborations with other true crime content creators. A lot of the things he covers or investigates is considered by his detractors to be either false information or conjecture. Greeno has set up fundraisers claiming it's for the victims' families or advocates. However, it's been disclosed that the money goes directly to him through his apps like PayPal or Venmo. And it's for his own personal financial gain. Very little, if anything, goes to those who it was intended for. Some have come out against him, while others have not in fear of retaliation. Greeno has a lengthy criminal history dating back from the age of 17 until recently. I'm only going to give you a few examples, but if you want a deep dive, I suggest going to Cold Truth's YouTube channel. She lays out so many things regarding his criminal history, shady dealings, and disturbing behaviors. In my opinion, she's the go-to expert on this. Just have a lot of time available because the videos are lengthy, and I will provide a link in the description page. So over a year or so ago, he went on the run from law enforcement. He was later arrested in Georgia and extradited back to Indiana for violating probation on his plea deal for failure to pay child support. In late 2022, he had a restraining order put on him for stalking. In addition to his recent follies, he was also an unlicensed bounty hunter in the Carolinas, which resulted in his arrest. He was charged with lying to police and violating the state's bail bondsman law. But if you ever watched any of his aspiring bounty hunting reality episodes, he proclaims himself in one of his cheesy voiceovers as one of the most feared bounty hunters in the South. He made false claims of running for sheriff in the state of Georgia, which is an impossibility since he's a felon and cannot carry or possess a firearm. Oklahoma retention agents cut ties with him when he trained with them. They questioned his experience and tactics. He's doxed people in the past. This is just a taste of who Anthony Greeno is. I haven't even covered it all, but in my opinion, based on his lengthy records and actions, Greeno is comparable to a televangelist of the true crime world. But please, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. I don't want what I share to be stuck inside of a bubble. Look at everything and let your heart and conscience guide you. Anyways, let's move on. Shortly after Greeno's release, Cold Truth on her YouTube community page made some fairly accurate predictions. She predicted that he would be begging for money again and going on someone's live show. That happened. Greeno created a PayPal donation page so that he can purchase audio and video equipment to create new content. His goal was $800, which was exceeded in just a few days. As of this recording, he now has $970 in his PayPal account. He still has 25 days to go until the page is closed, but I assume more donation pages will be made in the future. Greeno's first live stream appearance was on Groz's channel. A lot was discussed. I won't get into all of it, but you, the viewer, can watch it for yourself if you wish to do so. Greeno talked about his year in prison, some of the mistakes he's made, lessons he's learned, future plans, other thoughts and feelings, but what I want to talk about is when Groz brought up my name to Greeno. In short, Greeno knows who I am. He's watched my YouTube video about him. He stated he can dispute some of the claims or half-truths and wrote in a comment on Groz's video that he plans on doing so in one of his upcoming videos. As far as those disputed claims or half-truths, he has to be referring to Glenn Smith and Liz Owens reporting on him. Two different reporters from two different news publications from two different states. I read both articles in my video. On Friday, I received an email from Graz. He reported that Greeno wanted to put us all in contact to discuss any conflict I may have with him. Greeno expressed he can't afford to be derailed and his current struggles are real. I declined Greeno's offer, and here's why. In my opinion, and in the opinion of others, Greeno is a con man. Con men first try to win you over by exploiting your compassionate side. It's much easier to do than going to war. They make you feel bad for them, make themselves seem pathetic, harmless, etc. They want to control the narrative, persuade you, and manipulate you. Unfortunately for some, that doesn't work on me. If Greeno is derailed, it's not because of me, but because of his own actions and the information that exists. I didn't create multiple news reports. I didn't create public legal documents. I didn't create what others have said about him. I didn't create what he has said. Those things were already out there. What I have done is recite sources for that information, and if Greeno wants to have his own say about that, he can go ahead and do so on his own channel. I certainly won't be derailed by it. Okay, let's move on. In Graz's video, Greeno limits the scope of how or why someone should have a problem with him. He felt that if he didn't do anything to that particular person, then there cannot be any issue with him. But in my opinion, that is flawed and misguided logic. I, along with everyone else, have a right to be outraged if someone else is doing wrong or is wronged, be it done to a single individual or a collective. Let me give you an example. I have a major issue with an independent music artist named Ryan Upchurch. He claimed Kylie Rodney wasn't real and that her death was faked as some sort of scheme to collect money for a GoFundMe thing. Poor Kylie, in fact, died due to a tragic car accident last summer when she drove into a reservoir in Truckee, California late at night. This same clown also accused other YouTube personalities of facilitating a child pedo ring and that Kylie was one of their victims. Both the family of Kylie and the YouTubers were subjected to horrible harassment, which included death threats and doxing. Did Upchurch ever do anything to me? No, but I have a major problem with his unforgivable actions. Here's another example. If I have a really good friend and he or she always treated me well, but he or she does something so appalling to someone else, is he or she immune from my rebuking? No, of course not. Having a problem with someone is not limited to just what they do to you. It's much broader than that. But if Greeno wants an example as to why I have a problem with him, I have a few which I believe will suffice. The way you talk to Michelle Barton. For anyone who does not know who she is the mother of Tanner Barton. Tanner was a Kokomo, Indiana teen who died at a party in 2012. Michelle believes that her son's death may have been under suspicious circumstances and she's just trying to find the truth. She vehemently campaigns and advocates for her son to this very day. Some time ago, Michelle and Greeno had a dispute, and during it, Greeno wrote one of the lowest and most cowardly things you could ever write to a victim's family member. He wrote, "Why didn't you keep your son safe?" Now, I don't care what the dispute was, but to write something so vile shows a person's character. No sensible person writes something so stupid, even if it's in the heat of the moment. And another example is in relation to the Flora fire murders. Greeno used an audio recording claiming it was related to the Flora girls. When confronted with this, he made a post and had the audacity to blame the girl's family for giving him false audio. Here's a recent example. Greeno is injecting himself into the Delphi case by claiming he saw murder suspect Richard Allen at a local CVS and even drove down the same street that he lived. Since the claim is unprovable one way or the other, he can make this claim, in which I assume will be future clickbait. I think it's cheap and I think it's tacky and it's tabloidy. So that should answer Greeno's questions as to why I have a problem with him. Everything that has been uncovered should be sufficient. I am not comfortable with a felon con man claiming to be a voice for victims. I am not comfortable with that information being downplayed, minimized, or concealed. To me, it's unethical. It's not like these issues were made a long time ago and fossilized. These issues have been flowing like a lava river from an active volcano. These things, like stalking, are fresh and recent. A restraining order wasn't placed on him for the next 5 years for no reason. He's not going to bullshit himself out of this from the numerous claims, both past and present. In closing, I now address Greeno directly. I don't need to use your name to get clicks. My channel does fine enough on its own, and many of the other topics I have covered far exceed the views from the episode I made about you. To limit why anyone should cover you is both ignorant and misleading. I cover things based on what I think people should be made aware of. I do this for free. I certainly don't need to panhandle to get my content across. To be fair to you, I do not, nor have I ever thought you were involved in the Delphi killings. On the flip side, I also do not believe you did anything for this case other than exploit it. You lied about working with the FBI and the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. Compile this along with everything else discussed, and why should you be given another chance? What would make anyone think you have changed? You claim no one is perfect, and we all make mistakes, which is true. But our mistakes and our imperfections are not the same. I have never been a felon, nor have I ever disrespected victims' families. We are not the same. Until next time.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is